Thank you, Alexis. Good evening, everyone. My name is Amy Johnson, and I'm the School Mental Health Clinical Supervisor with Henrico County Public Schools. On behalf of the Department of Student Support and Wellness, I want to thank our FACE team, our Family and Community Engagement team, for co-hosting tonight's event, as well as a special thank you to our families and community members that have joined us. The HCPS Department of Student Support and Wellness works to provide an equitable system of care that affirms and supports all aspects of student well-being so that every young person may reach their full potential. So our department works collaboratively with our schools, our students, families, our community partners to ensure that each student has access to a relationship-rich, supportive, healthy and inclusive learning environment, because we believe that's the core of a successful education experience. This belief, and under the framework of Henrico Cares, is what has brought this valuable resource, Care Solace, to our division. Just in case you're not familiar, excuse me, Henrico Cares is a joint initiative between our school district and our county and community partners. We have worked to create an enhanced system of mental health care for all of our youth and their families. And the name CARES stands for Coordination, Access to Prevention and Responsive Early and Intensive Interventions, Systems Navigation to these valuable mental health resources. You can find this information and more on our Henrico County School website under Wellness, and we'll show you that a little bit later in the presentation. So with that said, it is a pleasure to introduce Vivian, the Director of Care Coordination, and Miriam, the User and Community Engagement from Care Solace. Thank you both so much for being here tonight and also for being our partners in this work. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much for that. And thank you all for being here. We're honored to share time and to be trusted to support you all. Should you have a need, or someone else that you're connected to needs to have support in the community, we're here to take that burden off of you. And I'll explain in more detail tonight's time. We're going to talk about how we can support you all, as well as the amazing resources that your district has made available to you and how we're one part of that system of support. Additionally, we're going to go into a little bit of mental health and well-being, our topic being some strategies for how we can improve our well-being, both in ourselves and as well as our families or any environment that we're functioning in. I'm going to try to share my screen, so please be patient, and we'll hope that technology cooperates with us. It'll be just 1 second, and we should be good to go. I'm going to go with this. I'm going to make this big, and we're going to work our way back. Apparently I was further in to get in a preview. So hopefully you're seeing this screen I'm going to double check that we're in the right spot. Are you seeing a purple screen? Excellent. Okay. So thank you for the introduction. My name is Miriam Stevenson. I come to Care Solace by way of doing similar work to support my community and the mental health in our schools, but also amongst our staff members and our families. So really thinking about barriers to care and how we can improve those systems. Your area is doing tremendous work with that collaboration with your county, just to broaden those systems of support and recognize that our kids can only really be as well as the adults in their schools and in their families that are caring for them. Tonight, I'm joined by my colleague, Vivian Richard, who is a social worker by training. I myself am a school counselor by training before going into that district work. We're here to talk today about practical strategies, including building our awareness, building our skill set, so how we can foster mental health and well-being, both in ourselves, as well as our families or other spaces that we might occupy. I'm just going to give a little brief introduction to Care Solace and who we are as a partner to your community. We are socially driven. We're on a mission to improve access to mental health care. And the way that we do that is by helping you navigate that system to find resources that are available and match your unique needs, regardless of the circumstance. So whether or not you have insurance, whether or not you have a preference for a particular language or other types of treatment in your care, we're here to help you navigate that system. So all you have to do is ask for help, and then we'll present you with the options and check in to make sure that you're satisfied with those. We do support school district communities across the country. So if you're listening in and you are a parent of a student, we're here to help you. We're here to help your child, or maybe you're a staff member. We're also here to support you as an extra layer of resources available community-wide to your school district. And really where we spend our time is doing those calls, helping you make appointments, staying on hold, verifying that people can actually serve your needs, and confirming that you're satisfied so that you don't have to do anything except have the courage to ask for help. Tonight, we're going to go through a couple of different topics, and that's really these introductions so you know why we're here, who we are, how we can help you. Vivian's going to walk you through a little bit of content around mental health, as well as some common mental health conditions that are the most frequently presenting. Additionally, some strategies to support your well-being, the well-being within your family. And then we're going to discuss how and when to seek help and talk about the resources that are accessible to you from Care Solace, but most importantly, from your school district, and really show you where you can find those should you or someone else you know need support. With that, I'm going to switch to Vivian and make sure that she is going to lead us through a calming activity to make sure that we can be present, and this strategy is useful whether it's tonight or in your own home.
Yeah, thank you, Miriam, and thank you all for having us. So I just want to invite us as we're getting settled to just kind of check in and see how we're feeling, the way that we might be feeling or what's gone on through the day, throughout the day for us can impact the way that we receive information. And so we're just going to invite, if it feels safe for you, to do this activity with us. This is called a box breathing exercise. There is a picture of a box here, but one of the great things about this activity is that you can do it in your head, and you can imagine a box in your head and don't have to worry about other folks knowing that you're trying to settle. And so I'm going to invite you to breathe in for 4 seconds, then take 4 seconds to breathe out, breathe in for another 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds. And we can kind of draw a box or trace those lines in our mind or outwardly while we're doing that. And what that does is it's going to help us settle our minds and our hearts a little bit, and then hopefully have us in a better space to receive information and to be willing to engage into conversation. So if it feels comfortable for you, I would say, settle in wherever you're sitting. You can get a little more comfortable, maybe shake out some of the tension that you might be holding in. And if it feels safe for you, I'll invite everybody to close their eyes and just to take a couple of deep breaths in and out. And then we'll go into the box breathing. So we're going to take a breath in through our nose for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Out through our mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4. In through our nose. And then back out through our mouth. You can do that a couple more times if you'd like to. No one can hear you or see you. And just do that as long as it might take you to feel a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more settled for our time in here together. Miriam, if you can go to that next slide. Okay, so we have a little video that we'll share before we get started with, before we dive in deeper.
All right. Hopefully you can see the video on my screen. I'm going to switch the tabs. So 1 second. And this is really just to describe our purpose and how we support you all. And hopefully you're seeing this tab, but I'm going to double check. Vivian, are we seeing the video tab?
Excellent. With the video, you may need to click the button to allow sound, though.
I may need to, I'm sorry.
There's a button to click to allow sound.
Oh, allow sound. Okay. Audio settings. I believe it should be good, so we'll try, but I'll double check. All right,
I'm grateful that somebody came forward and said that she was in a crisis. I luckily reached out to her counselor so that way the school was on board. And that's when she said, "Oh, I can get you a referral to Care Solace." And I'm like, "Okay, what's Care Solace?"
When their kid is struggling, they're scared, they're worried, they don't know what to do. We have in the past given them resources and referrals, and they're kind of left to their own devices to access them. The gap has been closed with Care Solace, truly helping get families that help that they need.
In a crisis, the timing is detrimental. The speed of everything that happened from the first contact to our first appointment being in only a week was phenomenal. I think I even cried on the phone with Jill when she told me we moved here. I spent close to 6 months calling and leaving messages, trying to find anybody. So when her therapist now came up, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a perfect fit.
so hopefully, Vivian, you're back on. We can see the right screen again.
Awesome. Yes, thank you so much. So we've been talking a little bit about mental health, but what is mental health? So the World Health Organization defines mental health as a state of mental well-being that enables people to cope with the stresses of life, realize their abilities, learn well, and work well, and contribute to their community. It exists on a complex continuum, where we each can experience mental health and our mental well-being in different ways. Things that contribute to our mental health include biological factors, environmental factors, so where we're living, so our genetics, where we're living, the spaces that we're in or surrounded by, any risk factors that we might have. So certainly if there's a history of mental illness or challenges in our family, we might also experience them. And then also protective factors, things that help us be able to thrive or to be resilient in difficult situations. So that might include a history of resilience in our family. That might include a support system, friends, families, individuals and school systems or other places that we operate within that might help us be able to better weather difficult situations that we encounter. So on the right, you see this graphic that on the right, you saw a graphic that really just kind of ties in all those things together. It's our thoughts, our behaviors, our environment, our genetics, the support that we have or don't have, the community that we're in, the environment that we live in, the society in which we're a part of. So as it says here, it's a complex continuum that can all contribute to our mental well-being. So how does our mental health affect us? So our mental health can affect us in various different ways, including our mood and our outlook. So you might realize when we started, I said, how we're feeling might affect the way that we're receiving information. If I have had a great day today and someone cut me off in traffic on the way home, I might roll my eyes and keep on driving like nothing is the matter. If I had a really long day and I just can't wait to get home and I am just frustrated and just kind of not feeling well and someone cuts me off, my reaction might be way different, right? So my outlook on the situation, my mood might be impacted in different ways. Our mental health can affect us in the way that we focus and perform in our relationships and whether we socialize more or less with others. It can affect our energy levels, both our physical energy levels. So, hey, I'm kind of feeling tired and a little bit sluggish. It can affect our mental energy levels, the way that we're thinking or able to process information, and then also our emotional and social energy levels. It can also affect the way that we manage stress and regulate emotions, like I mentioned with a car that might cut us off, and also our ability to care for ourselves or others. So again, if I'm having a good day, if I'm feeling rejuvenated and refreshed, I might be able to better show up for myself and the folks that are around me. But if I'm not feeling that way, if I'm feeling like I'm empty, it might be difficult for me to take care of myself in my regular activities on a day-to-day. So we're going to talk about a few common diagnoses that are most prevalent in our communities. We're going to talk a little bit about anxiety, depression, and post traumatic stress. Some common signs for anxiety include feeling nervous, a sense of impending danger or panic. So feeling like something wrong is going to happen or like not safe. You might feel an increase in heart rate, even just talking about that, right? I can sense a heart rate speeding up when you're thinking about feeling in danger or unsafe. You might breathe rapidly, so have more shallow breath or be unable to take slower breaths. You might experience trembling, shaking, sweating, fatigue, difficulty concentrating, might not be able to sleep. So maybe I'm really, really tired, but I'm laying in bed and having a hard time sleeping or staying asleep for the duration of time I'd like to be asleep. Excessive worrying, and also an urge to avoid triggers. So I don't want to be around people. I might not want to be around people. I might not want to be around situations that reminds me of difficult things or that make me feel unsafe. So when we're talking about symptoms of depression, and it's important both with anxiety and depression, that you can feel any of these things or experience any of these things at any given point during our day, our week, our month, our year. And we'll talk a little bit about when these signs might be indicators for us to seek some additional support. But some common signs of depression include feelings of sadness. It's the most common thing people think about. Feeling sad or tearful, but also can include things like loss of interest or changes in appetite. So maybe I do really enjoy watching college football on Saturday mornings or on Saturday. And I'm not feeling like watching football anymore. I just don't have the interest or the excitement in things that you might normally have. Can also experience a change in appetite that can be an increase and a decrease. So that means I might be just eating, or might not be wanting to eat. Similar to anxiety, can also experience changes in sleeping patterns, feeling a loss of energy, having feelings of guilt, agitation, experiencing mood swings or social isolation, and then also thoughts of suicide. So when we talk about thoughts of suicide, it can be any range from thoughts of wishing that we could go to sleep and not waking up to having a plan to end our lives. Post-traumatic stress disorder is has a little bit more of a complex diagnostic criteria, and we're really just talking kind of broadly in all of these in anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder, kind of broad symptoms that might indicate that that something is wrong or that something doesn't feel as great as we'd like to feel. Similar to anxiety, there can be feelings of fear or unsafeness. There can be folks can experience flashbacks. So a flashback would be where we can be sitting in at the dinner table together, and then you feel like you're right back into place where something scary or unsafe happened. Can experience a sense of agitation, hypervigilance, feeling lonely, even if there's people around, even if people are vocalizing support. Hostility, so being a little bit more agitated, aggressive, feeling detached from things. So again, having a sense of I'm here, but I'm not feeling very present. And then having unwanted thoughts or memories that come up, and that there's not really a way to not have them come up, or avoiding people, places, situations, things, thoughts that are related to an instance that occurred. So again, these are really high level symptoms that when we're talking about anxiety, depression, or post-traumatic stress. And we're going to dive into a little bit about what other things might impact our general wellness. But I want to take just a very brief moment to cite that the way that we experience these symptoms can be different based on our generation, based on the society that we're in, based on the systems that we're living in. And that might impact also the sense that we get about whether or not something is something we need to worry about. So I think these slides might be shared out at a later time, and we're happy to share them out as well. But here's this is just a slide with a little bit of information going back to our silent generation ahead of our baby boomers. And then all the way up to Generation Alpha, which many of our students and kids are going to fall under that Gen Z and Gen Alpha spot, and how we might perceive or receive information differently or manage our emotions or feelings that we're having. So we talked a little bit about what are some like general symptoms of these primary kind of diagnoses or things that we might experience and challenges in our mental health with. So we're going to visit a little bit of what are some strategies that we can implement to protect our mental well-being. So we can recognize our personal limits, knowing, like I was saying earlier, if we're experiencing a rough time or not feeling great, that we can check in with ourselves and know like what limits might I have if I had a rough day today, or if I'm feeling anxious today, or experiencing anxiety ongoing. What are some things that I can do that alleviate that and help my overall well-being? That might be saying no to some things. That might be just communicating my needs with my partner, folks that I'm around, and really also just accepting that some of the time we're not going to feel great, and being able to either communicate that or honor ourselves in that process. I say all of these things and they sound very easy, but sometimes we need support to make them happen. Also recognizing our signs of fatigue and burnout. So thinking about the spaces that we're in personally and professionally, adjusting our level of effort and boundaries accordingly. So if we're feeling anxious and have a lot of things on our plate, I might say, you know what, I had a commitment to go to, or had made a commitment to have a play date or to have dinner with a friend, and realizing that I'm feeling tired and fatigued, you can use that information to kind of make adjustments and set different boundaries for myself there. Prioritizing our well-being, which is not something that we do super well in our society. We tend to go, 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 go. And so really being able to identify for us, like what makes us feel good? What are some habits that are helpful? Is that journaling? Is that going on a short walk? Is that playing? Is that drawing? What are some things, what are some habits that that are helpful, that kind of help fill that tank for us, and that overall can impact our well-being? And then adjusting compassion efforts and seeking help for ourselves. So what does that mean? Something we don't love to do, but reflecting on our experiencing, and then offering ourselves a little bit of grace and compassion, and others as well. So to go back to the I'm getting cut off in traffic by somebody, it might be easy for me to be reactionary in that moment, but how can I show up and say, you know what, Vivian, you've had a rough day today. Like, who knows what that person was going through today? Like, I'm gonna let that roll today. And then also just for other folks as well, right? So if you're around other individuals who you can recognize that are fatigued or working towards burnout or not taking care of their well-being, offering a little bit more grace and compassion to the folks around us. Other ways that we can improve our well-being which we briefly mentioned, but engaging in enjoyable activities. So is there something that you enjoy doing, whether it's big or small, that you can take up? Is it a hobby, an outlet? Is it just putting your music loud in your car and jamming out? Is it putting a favorite TV show on, or eating a candy that you enjoy? Using calming practices like that square that we did at the start of our meeting today, or mindful activities. There's plenty of accessible mindfulness activities you can Google or access. It's really anything that helps us kind of focus on the right here and now, instead of all of the things that can be swirling in our mind. And then, of course, there's like, relaxing to help manage our feelings and stress, or anything that might be relaxing for ourselves. Prioritizing our self-care, practicing gratitude and giving. This is one of my favorite things, because studies have shown that folks who engage in a gratitude practice, so listing 3 things a day that I'm grateful for, significantly help our outlook. So there's tons and tons of research out on that, and this is an exciting way and practical way, easy way that we can help improve our well-being. Connecting with people, if that helps fill your bucket. I know some of our introverts here on the chat might be like, nope, let me snuggle up with a book instead. Developing any daily healthy habits, like exercise or regular movement. I feel like that's one of the things that we hear the most. Limiting our negative influences. If that one friend that usually is calling you to dump a lot of the negativity that they're experiencing in the day is calling, like, sometimes you can reject the call and call them back at another time. But limiting your exposure to those situations when you're able. We recognize that life happens and it's not always possible, but when we're able to limit our negative influences. And then, of course, you're here on a call with several mental health professionals. We're going to say seeking professional help, to connecting to mental health professionals or to other practices that can help you navigate the day-to-day a little bit easier, and to help us process the difficult moments. So I said seeking support. I also said earlier that where we are generationally is going to impact our willingness, or our perception of seeking help. There's a phrase that I grew up around, not in my family, but in the community that I was in, which is, it's kind of like there's no crying in baseball. It's a Spanish phrase that says, like, put the Energizer batteries on and just keep going. But what happens when we need additional support? Mental health professionals are here to help. They can provide objective and holistic perspectives based on your needs and developmental stage. They can provide diagnosis or treatment, so they can see if the stress that you're feeling, or that we're feeling, or experiencing, or the sadness is situational, it's coming and going, and we're navigating through them, or if we need some additional support, if it's depression or anxiety, that might need some additional support based on the way that they affect our daily lives. You can also get referred to a specialist for further evaluation or treatment. And then those types of evaluations can include medical examination. Is there something medical going on that might be influencing our mood and behavior? Any behavioral health history and assessment, our family history, our symptoms and general concerns, and also psychiatric evaluations. This is much like going to a doctor, can be much like going to a doctor for a regular checkup, for a wellness checkup. Same thing with a mental health professional. They can look at different aspects and make different treatment recommendations based on what your needs are and what your desires are. But how do I know if I need to seek help? If you are thinking that maybe you should seek help, that is a great time to seek help. So trusting your instincts about yourself or about your loved ones. So if you feel that maybe yourself or your child may need some additional support, definitely trust your instincts. If you're considering seeking help, go ahead and do it. Definitely, if any of your symptoms are interfering with your regular or desired functioning, your activities of daily living, your regular day to day. I often share in these settings, if you're someone that wears makeup every single day and curls their hair, and you're realizing that when you get up in the morning, you're not wanting to wear makeup or do your hair. That might be a sign to you that that's interfering with the things that you normally do, your regular activities. If you're going to a soccer game and suddenly you're feeling like you don't have the energy to do that, or to take care of your personal hygiene, or any of the things that you normally do, and they're interfering with your day to day, it's definitely time to seek support or to consider seeking support. And then having harmful behaviors towards yourself or other, or thoughts of self-harm or harms to others. So suicidal ideations, which we talked about a little while ago, feelings of hopelessness, or homicidal thoughts. I know it can be scary in those moments to ask for support, but those are the moments to most seek support to avoid further crisis. So there's also other things that we can do to help protect our mental well-being. So we can seek support, which social worker is always going to request, always going to recommend seeking support. And then there's also some activities that we can do, like the box breathing that we said, and then a few activities we'll talk about here. So setting boundaries can be difficult for folks. And so some daily practices might be setting an intention for yourself. Like today, I'm going to say yes to something that excites me. So maybe that's playing music. Maybe that's an ice cream at the ice cream shop. Maybe that's talking to friends, but I'm going to say yes to something that excites me. Or I'm going to say no to something. I'm going to say no to that dinner. I'm going to say no to, I'm going to say no to staying up too late. Or I can identify things that I want to do less of during the day, or ways that I can rest. So these are some just practical exercises that we can do for our well-being. Other things that we can do when seeking help and we're talking about mental health is helping reduce the stigma and interrupting the cycle. So being willing to speak about the challenges that we're experiencing in places that are safe to do so, and honoring your truth. So we talked about some generational differences, and that there are some folks that might just say like, oh, you just need to get over it, or the suck it up buttercup mentality. And that if that doesn't work for you, that is okay. And being able to speak openly and speak that that's true for you. Advocating on social media, if you have social media, sharing posts about mental health, mental well-being, showing compassion for others that might be struggling, compassion for yourself, providing education to folks. So sometimes people come to these types of talks and say, hey, today I learned that one activity maybe I can do is a gratitude journal, right? So speaking with other folks and educating yourself and others, which we're doing today by being together. Being aware of the language that we use with other folks, like, you don't have anything to be sad. What do you have to be depressed about, right? Everything's going great in your life. Being aware of the language that you're using, both when someone shares a vulnerability, and then also in our day-to-day, a lot of times we use phrases and diagnoses kind of as a put down, and to just be mindful of eliminating some of that language that can be harmful. And then being honest about what your treatment options are, and advocating for yourself, for others, and for equality in our physical and mental health. Usually like to pause and kind of think, well, like this can be difficult, especially if you haven't sought mental health services before, or maybe if you don't know how to talk about the things that you're experiencing or the concerns that you have for a loved one. So here are some conversation starters. So maybe someone says that they're feeling depressed and you can't relate. So what would you like me to know about your experience with mental health? What would you like me to know about your experience with depression? What are some ways that you can show me that you need help? So maybe when someone's not feeling well, it's harder to ask for help. So what are some signs that you think I should look out for that let me know that you need help? What are some indicators that you're not feeling well? Like for you, what are your own indicators that you're not feeling well? What about for folks that are around you? How can you open that conversation so that there's not pressure around it, but just that there's awareness around when we might need some additional support? What does mental health mean to you? What helps you feel mentally healthy? What are some things that you find helpful when you're not feeling well? Having these conversations primarily when folks are not in a crisis or just as, dinner time topics can sometimes be awkward, or holiday topics can sometimes be awkward, but they can help us open up the conversation so that when we're not feeling well or when we are in crisis, we're more willing or more able to open up and to seek support. And then, of course, we're going to talk a little bit about where Care Solace falls into this and how we can support you in the families that the community is serving. And I'm going to hand that off to Miriam to talk a little bit about how Care Solace works and how we can support you.
Okay. Thank you, Vivian, so much. I'm hoping that we're now sharing your Enrico homepage for your website. Vivian's going to give me a thumbs up if that's what you guys are seeing. Excellent. Because first we want great conversations. I think the most important thing is just to start to talk about these things and just to start to develop our own comfort. Our younger folks in our lives are way more comfortable talking about this, probably to the point of our discomfort. So being able to sit with what they say and not react to it, but just listen and kind of explore is one of the key strategies that I have found, as well as how can I make sure that I'm calm and able to not be reactive in that space as they might be sharing things that might normally generate a reaction, whether that's of worry, concern, fear, or maybe a little panic of what to do. So we're going to switch more to, like, if you want to explore, you recognize that there's a need, you want to see what's available to you. I'm right now on your district's home website, and I just want to emphasize all the work that they've done to really partner with community providers, but also your county. And I want to highlight, so just go to your normal website. You can search your district, enrico.us. It's pretty straightforward. And this wellness button, I'm going to emphasize this. They've centralized these resources for you so that you can get a good sense of where to start and all of that that's available to you, not just Care Solace. So this is from your student and support and wellness department that's really focused on equity and making sure that people in your community have access to care. You're going to notice Enrico Cares up top and that partnership, and just a bunch of different mental health providers. And you can connect with them based on what school level your student is involved in. I'm going to focus on this Care Solace bit. You can access this here. I'm also going to give you a link where you can go directly to us. When we click on this button, it's going to take you to a website that's available to you now and available to anyone in your district community, any student, staff, or family member, or have a connection that's looking after those folks. I want to show you this tab. If it didn't pop open, let me make sure it's popping open. So we clicked on that link and it should take you to a purple screen, making sure that we can see that. If anyone, if you can't, this is your moment to panic and let me know so that I can pause and adjust the screen. All right, we're going to go with silence, means that we're good. This is your Care Solace website. I want to emphasize a couple of things. You can change the language in the upper left-hand corner. And you can navigate this in whatever language is most comfortable or you feel most fluent in. Additionally, while you can search on your own here, I just want to emphasize that at any point you can have personalized support and human connection for someone who's going to help do all the labor and legwork for you, research things on behalf, and make sure that you're supported so that you don't give up when you've had the courage to seek help. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit so you can see our process. If you search on your own, I'll walk you through what that looks like. But essentially what we want to do is get a brief sense of what is happening for you or your loved one. So that can inform our matching of what providers you're looking for, as well as you might have additional preferences beyond just what you're experiencing. Once we match you to someone, you're going to get support from your own individual care companion, which is our human team. They are accessible 365 days of the year, 24/7. So when your schools are closed or providers are closed, you can still get help, and we'll help you navigate that system. They're going to help research your options, present you with options, book appointments with the option that you want to consider, and then follow up to make sure that you were able to show up and determine if you have a good sense of if that resource is a good fit for you. We're going to check in on you, and if at any point you want to try another resource or you become dissatisfied with the support you're getting, we can research additional options. It's really about finding you the best fit for what you or your family is experiencing. If you scroll down the website, it's just going to give you some more information as a helpful reminder. I also want to empower you, though, that if you know of someone else, oftentimes most people hear about us from someone who knows about us, and we want to equip as many people as possible in the community to know about us, because you are the first stop oftentimes for a loved one who might share something and they may not know where to turn. And because you're here tonight, you can spread the word, and you can say, there's this great resource that the district is providing. They'll help us navigate every step of the way. So this is the website. It's pretty straightforward. If you want to search on your own, you can. I'm going to just highlight a couple of different things. We'll put students' immediate family member here. Some of these are just the basic demographic information so that we know who we're helping. You can identify, or you can put whatever or decline to answer. This just helps give a sense of what's presenting in the community and helps inform your district about where they might need additional resources or outreach. You'll notice that you can choose between mental health challenges that you might be facing or some addictive behaviors or substance abuse. We're going to click just a couple. You can click as many or as few as you like. These are in line with a lot of what Vivian was talking about. And under each one, we don't expect you to know or diagnose yourself. What we are hoping is that you'll be able to share what you're experiencing or your loved one's experiencing. And if they are using substances to medicate some of the pain they're going through, you can indicate that as well. We support all levels of treatment, meaning from a licensed provider. Oftentimes we think that therapy is just mental health support, but you can see there's a range of options. In fact, if you might need help with medication management, or you might want an assessment to figure out what's going on, these are all options, as well as some of these more intensive pathways for people who have higher levels of need or might have just been through a crisis and are stabilized, and now we need to look at more intensive supports for their ongoing recovery. Insurance is not a barrier to care. If you do have insurance, that's great. We can help you navigate that system so you know what you can access and what's covered, what's not. But additionally, it can be kind of a complex system, so we'll help you figure that out. If you have insurance from public insurance, that's great too. We can also navigate that system. If you want to pay out of pocket, that's okay. And if you have no insurance, that's all right. We're going to find free, low pay, or sliding scale options that are available to you. Here's where we have a choice in terms of how far we're willing to travel, what kinds of treatment we may be open to. Some people have a strong preference around telehealth because they have transportation or they just want to be able to get that help quickly. For today's purpose, I'm going to identify yes, so you can see what those search options look like. And then I'm going to enter a zip code that's close to your district so that we can get a sense of what resources come up. And then I want to walk you through what this looks like. Part of the reason I'm doing this is so that you can see it's not a challenge. You can run these searches as much as you want. You can share this link through the community with other parents or families. In fact, we encourage you to do so. But you're going to notice this big pop-up. We're going to give you a list, but we don't want you to have to make a single phone call. We will do that for you. We'll wait on holds. We'll figure out who on this list actually is available, taking new patients, honors your insurance, and most importantly, I can't emphasize this enough, is a fit for the things that you're looking for and the type of help that you're willing to pursue. So please, please, please call us, contact us. I have a hard time asking for help in general, but let alone on camera, but some folks need to see the human behind the screen. Whatever method, reach out to us. So if you dismiss this, that's okay, but please call, video chat, text so that we can help you navigate this list. If at any point you want to change your parameters or what your preferences are, you can change these boxes. You can also change the language. You can share your results. You can change how far you're willing to travel or the insurance and run it again. It's not a problem. Run it as many times as you would like to see what's out there for you. But again, use us to navigate this list to make sure that we can give you that real-time update on availability and fit. I'm just going to scroll through here so you can see that on the right-hand side, this is going to be what they matched for. And then also, even though they offer teletherapy, it's going to give you a distance to connect with these folks. All right, this is your district's Care Match website. Super important, and you can get there again through your homepage of your district. You can even just search and you'll find it. I want to make sure that we're switching screens real quick back to who can access us and how they can access. So hopefully you're seeing this diagram of the pathways. If you want help in terms of connecting to Care Solace, you want to talk to the mental health professional at your school counselor, they can also make a referral for you and then support you if you need any additional help. Stay in touch. But on any behalf, all these pathways are going to lead to this human team where you're going to have that person who's going to be your companion, your ally, your emotional support as you navigate the system. And most importantly, checking up on you to make sure that you're happy with the options presented. I'm going to pause on this screen for just a second as a reminder of how we got to that website, but also to give you the link directly to that Care Match website. I recommend saving our phone number on your cell phone. I recommend keeping that QR code so that if you or someone else needs help, it's accessible to you. But again, you're going to go to your main website and you're going to click on those wellness resources, and then it'll lead you to Care Match from Care Solace. But also it's going to highlight the amazing resources that your district has put together to really create a safety net and a system of support, regardless of what the need is in your community. All right. So with that, I think we are ready for Q&As, but I wanted to check and see, I'll put up any other, we have some additional resources, I believe, that we can share. So we'll put that there. There we go. In addition to the resources on your school's website, your district's website, these are just some great national lines and support systems to be aware of. I typically would recommend you take a screenshot so that if you know of anyone that needs help, you can also get connected with a hotline. There's been a lot of work to build out supports across the country, just as we've had more recognition for how mental health and well-being affects us all. And last but not least, we can land here. Great. Save our phone number, save that QR code, take a picture of this. We will send out the slides afterwards. This helps you have language to understand that your school district has provided Care Solace to ensure that all of your students, staff, and their families have access to mental health and substance use treatment. They'll find options available for you, but you do have a robust access in addition to Care Solace if you want to leverage something that the district is providing directly. All right, with that, we're going to switch to Q&A, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen so hopefully we can see each other's faces and see what questions may have come in. And I'll invite Vivian, if she is able to come back on camera as well. All right. Looks like the link for the questions, if you have any, is in the chat. And I'll defer to Alexis if any have come in.